So with 2.5b, we are going to factor when we have a greatest common factor. So as our first step. So just like before, our steps are the same. So our very first thing we're going to do is we're going to factor out a GCF. Our second thing we're going to do, and so remember when we factor out a GCF, what we're starting with is looking like this, or we're hoping to get it to look like that. So when we factor out GCF, we should have a number out in front and then something that looks like what we were dealing with last time. So once we're there, we're going to multiply A times C, just like before. We're going to list the factors. And we're going to find the pair that adds or subtracts to give us B. Okay, adds or subtracts to give us B, just like before, so nothing's changed. And then we're going to do the box. So I'm just going to write box method. Hopefully we remember from last time what that means. And then we're going to write our factors. And what you need to remember when we write our factors is that your greatest common factor is going to go out in front. So you're going to have your greatest common factor in front, and then you're going to have your parentheses, just like you normally would. So as we look at our examples, you're going to kind of see us go through that process. So as I look at example 1, our very first step is what is a number that goes into 4, 4, and 24? So we always look for our smallest number, which is 4. And does it divide into 4? It does. Does it divide into 24? It does. And so that's the number that we're going to take out. And then we look to see, do they have a letter in common, which they don't. So we just divide out the 4. So then we have k squared plus k minus 6. And then what we need to remember there's really a 1 in front of anything that doesn't have a number in front of it. And so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go A times C, which is negative 6. Our factors of negative 6 are 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. And we need a pair that gives us the 1 in the middle. So we're trying to find the 1 in the middle just like before. So 1 plus 6 is 7, or 6 minus 1 is 5. So that one doesn't work. 2 plus 3 is 5, or 3 subtract 2 is 1. So we're going to do 3 subtract 2 is 1, positive. And so we're going to do our box, just like before. So remember, the first term goes in the first box. And when I talk about the first term, once I've taken out the greatest common factor, I don't use that anymore. I use what my new equation is. So first term is 1k squared. Last term is negative 6. The pair that I pick goes in the other two boxes. So we've got negative 2k and we have 3k. And then we're taking out greatest common factor like we did. So greatest common factor of 1k squared and negative 2k is k. Greatest common factor is 3k and negative 6 is going to be 3. Again, we take the smallest number. Does it divide into our other number? And it does, so we write it down. Same thing as our columns. Okay, k goes into both of them. And then when I look at negative 2k and negative 6, negative 2 is your smallest number, and it divides into negative 6 evenly, so we write it down. And then as we do our double check, k times k is k squared, k times negative 2 is negative 2k, 3 times k is 3k, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So everything checks out. So we need to make sure that we write our 4, so our 4 is coming straight down, and then when we write our parentheses, it's what's on top and what's on the side. And then this is my answer. Whoops. So this is your answer. As we look at example 2, it's the same idea. We're looking to see if there's a number that goes into all of them evenly. So the first number is a 2. It's the smallest. Does it go into 10 evenly? It does. Does it go into 72 evenly? It does. So we're going to take it out. We look to see if they have a letter in common, which the first two have an A, but the last one doesn't, so we can't take it out of all of them. So we get a squared minus 5a. And then 72 divided by 2 is 36. And then we're back to what we did before. There's a 1 here. 1 times 36 is 36. Factors of 36 are 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. And you guys can just look at your chart if you need to. And we're trying to find a pair that's going to add or subtract to give me 5. So as we look, 1 and 36 either adds to be 37 or subtracts to be 35, so it doesn't work. 2 and 18 adds to be 20 or subtracts to be 16, so it doesn't work. 3 plus 12 is 15. 12 minus 3 is 9, doesn't work. 4 plus 9 is 13. 4 minus 9 or 9 minus 4 gives me a 5. And then 6 plus 6 is 12. 6 subtract 6 is 0, so it doesn't work. So the only way that I can get -5 is going 4 subtract 9. But then when I do my double check, is 4 times -9 a 36? No, so it doesn't work either. And so it's not prime because I was able to take out the 2, but this is your final answer. Like if I can't do anything else, then I'm done. And so because I couldn't do anything else, I was able to take out a number, so it's not prime, but I can't go further because I couldn't find a pair. So when I look at example 3, I want to do the same thing. I'm looking to see, do I have something in common? My smallest number is 5. 5 goes into 40 evenly, and 5 goes into 80 evenly. So we know we can take out a 5, and then we look for letters. And in this case, you'll notice that you have an X here, an X here, and an X here. So we take out one X because that's your smallest power. And now we just divide. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. You had 3 X's and took 1 away, so you're left with 2. You have -40 divided by 5, which is -8. You had 2 X's and took 1 away, so you're left with 1. And then 80 divided by 5 is going to give us 16. Yeah, 16, and then we don't have any X's left. And so now we're going to do the same thing. We've got 1 times 16, which is 16. Our factors are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, or 4 and 4. And we're looking for a pair that gives you the -8 in the middle. So again, as we're looking, 1 and 16 is 17, 2 and 8 is 10, 4 and 4 is 8. So this one works. It needs to be a -8, so both of these need to be a negative. And then we do our box. So other than that, everything else is the same. Remember, once I've taken out greatest common factor, I don't use that anymore. So this is 1x squared, 16, and then our pair was -4x and -4x. So when I take out greatest common factor, I take out an x. Greatest common factor, I'm going to take out a -4 because 4 is your, that's a 4, kind of doesn't look like it. You take out the greatest common factor, which is a 4. -4 divides into 16 evenly, so we write it down. And then going the other way, we take out an x and we take out a -4. So the 5x comes straight down, and then what's on top is x minus 4, and what's on the side is x minus 4. This can also be written as 5x times x minus 4 to the second power. Either is correct, so it's however you want to do it. When I look at example 4, it's the same idea. I'm looking to see what can I divide out of all of them. So my smallest number is a 7, and so I divide 7 into 49 evenly, and I can divide 7 into 56 evenly. So that's the number I'm going to take out, and then I'm going to divide. So I get 7 divided by 7, which is 1, and then a squared. And I don't take a letter out this time because there's not a letter on the end. 49 divided by 7, which is 7, and 56 divided by 7, which is 8. So I take everything out, and now I multiply like I did before. 1 times 8 is 8. Factors of 8 are 1 and 8, or 2 and 4. I'm actually going to change this problem for just a minute. Well, not for just a minute, forever. I want this to be, actually, I don't care. That one can be plus. I want this one to be a minus here. So we're going to change this to be a minus problem. Because I want to be able to factor it. So -8, I'm trying to get a +7 in the middle. So as I look at that 7 in the middle. I've got 1 plus 8, which is 9, or 8 subtract 1, which is 7. 2 plus 4 is 6. 4 subtract 2 is 2, so that doesn't work. And so when you have that going on, and that you'll see why I changed it. If I didn't change it, I wouldn't be able to factor. It would be done. So I would have just left it, but I would like to go over factoring a little bit more. So this is 1a squared. This is negative 8. The pair that I picked was negative 1a and 8a. So when I take out the greatest common factor, I take out an a. When I take out the greatest common factor, I take out an 8. Greatest common factor going up and down is an a. Greatest common factor going up and down is a negative 1. We always like to check a times a is a squared, a times negative 1, negative 1a, 8 times a, 8a, 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. And so I bring my greatest common factor down, and then I'm going to write my factors as a minus 1 and a plus 8. And again, I changed this problem, okay? I changed to be a minus 56 at the end. So realize that if I don't change that, then this can't go more. But I changed it so that it will. And so that's my solution. There is one more we can go through really quick. Again, the same idea is what divides evenly into all of them. So the smallest number is 3. The smallest letter is an x to the second. When I look at 3, the reason I decide on that, 3 divides into 6 evenly and 3 divides into 24 evenly. And then when I look at the smallest letter, it's an x to the second power. And so I'm going to divide that out. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. You had 4 x's, you take 2 away, so you're left with 2. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. You had 3 x's and took 2 away, so you're left with 1. Negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. You had 2 x's, you took 2 out, so you're done. And then you're at the same step. This is done, so we're going to go 1 times negative 8. Factors of negative 8 are 1 and 8, or 2 and 4. And you need it to give us a negative 2 in the middle, so we're looking for this. 1 and 8 is 7. 8 subtract 1 is, well, 1 and 8 is 9, or 8 subtract 1 is 7. And then 2 and 4 is 6, or 4 subtract 2 is 2, or 2 subtract 4 is negative 2. And we want the 2 subtract 4. And so we do our box. This is 1x squared. This is negative 8. This is 2x and negative 4x. And we take out our greatest common factor. So greatest common factor is an x out. Greatest common factor, again, the smallest number is negative 4, and it divides into negative 8 evenly, so we write it down. Greatest common factor is an x. Greatest common factor, smallest number is a 2, and it divides into negative 8 evenly, so we write it down. This comes straight down, so our greatest common factor is part of our solution, and then our 2 factors are x plus 2 and x minus 4. Again, we should have checked that. I didn't, but we should have. X times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. If you always do that double check before you write your solution down, then you know you're going to be right. All right, that's good for today.